Brandon Mason, and I'm here with Jim Turner. We're here to look at this beautiful bike behind us. This is the R22ET Everest. Why don't you tell us about the bike, Jim?
This R22ET Everest is my dream bike for a number of reasons. You know, I've been building e-bikes for 30 years and making them for 20, and I always saw a limitation in range of e-bikes. You know, a lot of people buy an e-bike, they put it in their car, they drive it to the trail, and they ride like 15 miles and they go home. I want to get in my car. I want to ride to the trail, I want to ride the trail, and I want to ride home. And none of the e-bikes would do that. And we had initially bikes with, you know, smaller batteries. Like in 2008, we had the first lithium-ion battery, which was a 750 watt-hour battery back then in 2008, which you saw Specialized just came out with their 800 watt-hour, and 20 years later, almost 20 years.
Okay.
And we found that battery wasn't big enough for the riding we want to do. We are in Colorado, and we got a lot of mountains, right, and a lot of hills and country to ride through. So the Everest was always my dream of how do I get a big enough battery where I can really go out all day long and not what any other bike could do. And so that's where I came up with the Everest. It has the biggest battery available in e-bike, the longest range because of that, and it's well suited in the center of mass for excellent handling.
What kind of range do you get on this?
You know, we say 300 miles if you use other e-bike companies' range, which range is so subjective because of the terrain, your weight, the speed, that it doesn't mean anything. We find here in Colorado, I'm 220 pounds, and you know, I can get 120 miles to 200. And again, that depends on the speed and what power level and how much fun I'm having.
And is that going through like really mountainous terrain?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a customer in California with one of these, and he says the bike wins on the day's ride. Like he goes, I never can wear out the battery.
Yeah.
And he'll ride for 6 or 7 hours in the Sierra Nevada mountains, you know, just go out riding all day. He goes, the bike always wins.
Yeah.
He doesn't have range anxiety.
Which is huge. I mean, that's a huge conversation in electric cars, and as well as it should be in electric bikes.
This bike has ushered in what we call the e-venture range, which is beyond e-bikes and somewhere in between e-bikes and motorcycles, because this bike with the MMI display can actually be a Class 1 e-bike, Class 2, Class 3, or an Off-Road Moto Mode where it can ride on forest service roads, which are 17,000 miles. So it's a chameleon of bikes and crosses a threshold. We don't really even call it an e-bike in a way, because it's too multifaceted for that.
What's the maximum class that you can take on the road?
Class 3.
Class 3. Okay.
Yeah, and those are 28 miles an hour and 750 watts.
And then on certain trails, you're taking it down to like class 1.
Class 1, which is limited to 20 miles an hour, and you can't have a throttle either. So, which the MMI does all that. It you know, immediately, it's like a transformer. It changes the bike to any of those bikes that you want, and that came about because riding here in Colorado, if you have a Class 1 e-bike and you want to ride to the trail, you're stuck at 20 miles an hour going, and there's no why. You know, cars are going 35, 50. And so it didn't make any sense that I couldn't go to the trail at 28 miles an hour. And then I might have a EMTB trail where I had to be Class 1, but then I might get over to a Forest Service road where I can be in moto mode and go 35 miles an hour. It's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we came up with this idea. Well, the law, they're limiting e-bikes' ability to do these things.
Yeah, you said why not just make that configurable so I can run in the mode that's legal for where I'm riding at this moment.
And we didn't want people to break the law. We wanted to get them to obey it because it does go in the mode and it records how long you've been in there, and you have to stop to change it. So if you do get pulled over, you can say I've been doing this for 20 miles in 45 minutes. It's not to get people to break the law. It's so they can expand the use of an e-bike. Do more with it.
So who would you say this model is designed for?
The people that ride these, a lot of them have a background maybe in motorcycles or other adventure sports, skiing and stuff like that. And they really love getting out there, They appreciate the quality of the bike. This bike has 200 millimeters of suspension front and rear. It's like a downhill mountain bike. So it really works well off-road. It's very comfortable to ride. It's very stable, incredibly stable bike. So they're just want to get out there, and a lot of them, their bodies are older, and they can't do the same things they used to do, whereas this doesn't have the impacts. Or it's a bicycle, and the Chameleon, you know, like you can ride it around and go a lot of different places.
So it's really a great all-rounder. You could use it for anything from commuting to downhill on a mountain biking trail.
Yeah, and the big thing is the battery, because that's giving you that range and that freedom to ride long distances. So you get people that want to ride long distances, and this is really the thing that changes their mind, because nobody else makes one. They got some other bikes with batteries stuck everywhere, and again, garbage design. This puts the battery here. It's centralized. It handles really well. It enhances the handling of the bike.
So you've got actually 2 batteries on this bike, and we have a switch right here that allows you to switch between them.
Yeah,
so it's like having a spare gas tank.
Well, I call it out and back technology. We thought of making one big battery, but we go, wow, it's so nice to just run one battery and know you can get home, not worry about where the gauge is. And sometimes I'll ride the first battery to 3/4, then switch. So I got a little reserve in that one. And it just is, everyone says they love it because it's so relaxing to know they can just switch to a new battery and get home.
Right. Yeah, it gives the person awareness over how much energy they've spent and makes a natural turning point.
Yeah, and this is a huge battery. It's 3.3 kilowatt hours, whereas, you know, most of the EMTBs are 700 watts hours. So this is almost 5 times the size of those batteries.
Each one of these is 3.3?
No,
the combined is 3.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so even one side of it's a huge battery, you know, way bigger than most e-bikes. It is a heavy battery. It's 37 pounds. So you want to get it in a good location so it doesn't affect the handling and enhances it. You get the weight low, and it's like a keel in a boat. It starts to enhance the handling rather than detract from the handling.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a better handling bike, even though you've added weight to it.
And you mentioned the term e-venture earlier. What is an e-venture bike?
That's something we've created because of these higher powered bikes that can be used on off-road dirt roads, you know, like motorcycle trails. This bike is something new. It's not an e-bike and it's not a motorcycle. It can go between it. So we coined that phrase, so it's a new category.
So what am I looking at power-wise, like power and torque, if I compare like a top-end specialized bike with the Everest?
So if you're in moto mode, you're 190 newton meters of torque on the cranks versus about 110. And then you're 2,500 watts peak versus specialized price 700. So it's almost 4 times as much power. And it's 1,700 watts continuous. So 2 or 3 times the continuous power at least.
Okay, so you're really in a class all your own.
Yeah,
Are there any other bikes that have like this same level of power or torque?
There's a few, but they don't match this in the handling department. They're not engineered well. Mm-hmm. So they're scary to ride. Mm-hmm. These bikes are rock solid. You know, the top speed limit in moto mode is 36, and you don't know you're going 36. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy.
What does Optibike True Power mean, and how does that benefit the user?
So True Power, as I mentioned, peak power and a continuous power. We're 2,500 peak, 1,700 continuous. So a lot of companies advertise their peak power, which is just kind of momentarily, as their continuous power. And even their continuous power isn't really continuous because it overheats the motor or the controller, and then it has to slow down or else burn everything up. So when we say you have 1,700 watts, you have 1,700 watts for true and the whole time. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of design in the motor to make sure it can handle that.
So there's no marketing gimmicks. It's that's what you're getting out continuously.
I think we're the only company that's truthful about that. It's like a big lie of the industry, you know. And we've proven it because we've taken other e-bikes and we've gone up hills with them and they just get left behind or they can't make it. Or we have one video where we went up a 45% grade and, you know, the other European bike just conked out halfway up.
So what's this display that we have on the top of the bike, and how does that give the rider the flexibility to control how the bike's performing?
Yeah, that's what we call our multi-mode display, or our MMI. We developed that out of this need I said to be a chameleon bike. So you can start up, select, class 1, 2, 3, or moto mode, and configure the bike for what you want to ride. And inside it, you can tune all those modes to whatever you want. You can lower the torque, you can lower the speed, you can lower the power and stuff like that to configure it just the way you want to ride.
So it allows the rider to adjust not only to their comfort level, but also maybe conditions, if it's rainy, or to different legal jurisdictions where they're limited on how much power they can ride
Exactly. We were going up in the mountains in the spring, and the roads were dry, and then we got into the snow. There was some snow, and with the torque sensor, snow is because it spins a lot, it was very dangerous. So we go into the MMI and we turn off the torque sensor and just use the throttle. We were in moto mode because they're Forest Service roads, but we could tune down the thing. So it just made, we're compatible with what we want to do. You can tune the torque gain out of the torque sensor. So for what you feel like you want to do, or the amount of exercise you want to get that day, or the conditions. If it's slippery, you might want to turn it down. And it's infinitely adjustable to the riding terrain you are. And you may want a different torque setting than me, depending on how strong my legs are, things like that,
Can you give me some stories of what people have done with their Everests?
One of my customers retired. He lived in New Mexico, and he took his Everest with a burly trailer and rode it to Florida. It's kind of, I guess, his retirement party.
Do you have extra battery packs in there? Or
No.
How do you make it all the way?
And I asked him, I said, how was the battery? He goes, I was tired long before the battery on that trip. And he's just riding the roads. And he has been a cyclist all his life, heavy-duty mountain bike racer and everything, and he'd retired. And he just, not like he hadn't been riding hard the rest of his life, but he probably in his youth rode that on a road bike or something, but he wanted to do that with his Everest. And I have another customer in California that, rides all the trails, goes up in the Sierras and rides off-roads, does crazy things. We have a bunch of videos of him, going down these single tracks, scares you to death. And but he just says it's the best handling bike. He can't really break it, He breaks everything.
What's the construction here?
So
what's the material?
Well, this swing arm is one we developed. It's actually machined from solid billet of 6061 aluminum. Solid piece, and these are all machined. And on Everest, this battery case is machined out of solid billet aluminum. Everything on this bike, the motor and everything, is machined from billet aluminum, other than the frame is carbon fiber. It's got a headlight and tail light on this bike, the E-Venture. They're integrated. We developed them, and they're integrated with the battery. We couldn't get lights that were bright enough, and they're integrated in the battery, so you always have a headlight. You don't have to charge them because, you're out in the woods, and they'll stay on even if you run out of charge. It'd still be enough to run the lights. We get frustrated with products in the bike industry that don't seem to work, so we end up developing our own. As an engineer, I always want to use something someone else developed, if I'm a smart engineer, and I only develop my things when it isn't good.
You don't have anything to the spec that you're looking for.
Yeah, if I can't buy it, then I have to engineer it, but I try and buy it if I can.
Yeah.
I would have rather bought lights rather than develop our own lights. But we're kind of that way. If we need something, we go develop it.
What type of riders will benefit the most from the Everest?
I think people that want to go long distances. I get a lot of people like that. Most of them are older, and they want to go. They still want to adventure. Like I had a doctor in San Diego, and he said he used to bike a lot. He's probably in his 60s, late 60s, and he used to bike a lot when he was younger. And now he goes, I really like biking. I just can't hack it. And he's got some shoulder issues, fused shoulders from some injuries he sustained. And so we kind of made him a bike that was higher, one of these Everests. And he sent me a note. He goes, just thanks, Jim, for building the best bike in the world. And, he wanted to go do some tours all around. And even, if you want to just go 100 miles, a lot of bikes advertise they can go 50 miles, 100 miles. And God, you're going like 3 miles an hour. It's no fun. I mean, no one factors that in. If you're going 6 miles an hour and they think that's fun, maybe 28 is a lot more fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there's different levels of expectation. So when people say, "Oh, these bikes go 100 miles," I always laugh because the bottom line is you look at the battery capacity, and if the battery's a fifth of this one, and it's not going 100 miles unless you're doing all the pedaling yourself.
Is the Everest for everyone?
No. You should most people have some experience with bikes or motorcycles, and they want the power, they want the range.
Like with e-bikes specifically?
Maybe with e-bikes or just regular bicycles. And it's a more of a bike to ride, it's not a casual bike. And it'll do amazing things, but it's not for a casual rider. It's not for somebody that just wants to ride around town, go to the store or something like that. It's people that want to go on an adventure. That's why we call it e-venture. You want to go on an adventure. You want to go tour across America or ride the Rocky Mountains or do things like that are out of the ordinary. And that's what it's for. Ride trails and never worry about the battery being dead. Explore where no one else can go. That's what it's for.
One of the things I've noticed on these bikes is they're quiet. And Antonio and I were riding these. We actually came up on a bear.
Oh.
So, of course, maybe you don't want that, but fortunately he ran off.
I found the same thing. With our dirt bikes, they hear you, and you don't have to worry about that.
Right. So, can you talk about the quietness of these?
We do a lot to make our bikes quiet, and in general, as the motors get more powerful, they're going to exhibit more noise. So comparing this bike at 2,500 watts to a 250 watt bike, and saying the same noise, because should be pretty quiet because they're not doing much. Because the more power you put in torque, you're meshing the gears, you're going to create more noise, create more heat in the motor. So it's a bigger challenge to design, and it goes up exponentially with the power. It's harder and harder to design because the heat loss goes up as a square of the power. So you're going to have, it's more of an engineering challenge.
But you've been able to do that.
Yeah, that 30 years helps of engineering, thinking about it and designing stuff and playing with it. And we use all the top components, we machine everything, again, in the motor. So the tolerances are higher than if you're just molded or using other things. The mass-produced bikes have to make limitations. They can't do this much power in this package because they have to mass produce and they have to cut corners just to meet their goals. And, it's funny, Optibikes are expensive, but you're actually getting more value because there's more value in the bike. We don't have those layers of margin like a big brand does. It's got to go through all the dealers, distributors, and everything. And it may not make sense to you because the bike's so expensive, but if they sold it, it'd be $50,000.
You're saying so much more of the price is actually devoted to giving you the best bike.
Yeah.
And if you look at the performance numbers on these bikes versus like a specialized, you're just in two different worlds.
Yes.
What's the next step if somebody hears this and they're interested in learning more?
Well, we make all the bikes here, and we don't sell through dealers. So you contact us, email us, or go to our website. You can reserve one of these on the website for like $2,000, reserve it. And then you fill out the options you want, and then we would call you and talk to you about how you're going to ride, your height, weight, considerations of limitations of your body, things like that, where you want to go. And then we decide on the bike that's going to work for you, design it, and then send you the order, and you approve it. And then we start to build the bike for you. And that can take 4 to 12 weeks or longer, depending on our backlog.
Yeah, so it's tailored. It's like a tailor-made suit for the person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Optimized for the conditions that they're going to ride it in and their body condition and how much torque and pedal assist they want with it.
Yeah, and tires and what they're going to ride with it. Yeah.
Where can people go to find out more?
Well, just optibike.com. You start your journey there. We've got lots of videos showing these things in action.
Is there anything else you want to leave people watching this with? Any last thoughts?
This is my baby.
Yeah.
It's my dream bike. Maybe not for everybody, but I built something that does what no other e-bike can do, and it fits certain people that want to do it, and everyone that's bought one absolutely loves it.
And you're taking this out in the Rockies.
Yeah, we beat these things.
Yeah.
I mean, we're climbing 4 or 5, 10, 10,000 feet in a day, but you won't do anywhere else pretty much in America. I was out riding one day, and there's the Electric Mountain Lodge, which is, I think, about a 4,000 foot climb total and 23 miles. And I rode up there. It takes me about an hour and 10 minutes. Google says by car it's 55 minutes because it's a gravel road.
Yep.
And there was a couple up there unloading their e-bikes off their truck, and they said,
Yeah.
He says, we're going to go for a ride. And I go, I just rode up here, and now I'm going to go for a ride. I can go for a longer ride than you can, and I'm already here. And I'm going to ride home when I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I hate cars.
Yeah.
I love being out on the bike. Anytime
Yeah.
I want to be out on the bike, I'm outdoors. I love it.
Yeah. I'm really into mountain biking, and I feel the same way. Like, that's why I ride the trails around here a lot, is I don't want to get in a car.
Yeah. And so that's when you ask, what's it for? What's that experience to be able to do that? Instead of being there and they're in 2 hours in their car and then they go ride, a little bit around, and we can bomb down that road at 35 miles an hour and being rock solid. And that's a sketchy road, even on a dirt bike. And whether it's rocky trails or gravel roads or streams, we're just going through it and having fun.
So this bike gives you the complete experience, and you don't need anything else. You're going to get there to the trail on the bike.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing, to have that confidence. You got the range and the power to go where you need to go. And it kind of is a little bit of a motocross bike to me. It gives you that feel. Doesn't beat you to death. It's not as dangerous, but it gives you that exhilaration, that feel. There's like the vestibular system. You're riding the trail. It does that for you, and that's what I like.
Hey, thanks so much, Jim. Everybody, check out these bikes. They're just wonderful to ride, and you got to try it.
Come on by. We do free test rides here in Paonia, Colorado. You can go ride as far as you want.